Hello and welcome to this latest installment of Tones of the Hammer, where we interview and talk to musicians, audio engineers, all kind of creative aspects all around Hamilton and the surrounding areas. And today, I am so stoked, this person's racking up credits everywhere that's just amazing to read if you read a discography. And I'm not going to tell you about it, I'm going to let her tell you about it. Everybody welcome, Jill Zimmermann.
Hi.
Hi. How's it going, Jill? Thank you so much for coming down.
Yeah, it's good. Aside from the snow outside.
Yes, it's super cold. This is like the first intense winter I've done in Canada, so it's kind of...
It's the coldest I've had so far.
Yeah, it's like I've never seen this snow this high anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it can get worse though.
Oh,
I've been to Quebec in January.
Great.
It's worse.
Great.
I mean, they love it. They're set up for it.
Yeah.
Everyone embraces it, and I think the mindset really changes how you appreciate
Yeah,
it, right?
100%. I imagine once you've kind of got used to it and acclimatized to it, eventually you get used to it, right?
Oh,
You know?
I would say so, but not for me. I haven't gotten used to it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm still waiting for summer.
Yes.
Because I just, I love the sun, going outside. Everyone's usually happier in the town.
Yeah, that's right. It really does get people down here, is what I've noticed. But anyway, enough about the weather for sure. So, Jill, tell us about it. As I said in the intro, you've racked up some incredible credits, even recently, Deep Purple, Alice Cooper, Alexisonfire, the list keeps going on.
Yeah.
So, and we'll get into all that eventually, but why don't you tell me what got you into music? So you're from Germany originally, right?
Yes. So for me, I always loved music, and I used to play violin when I was a kid, and it's just something that I think all my family did. It was just, when I was in first grade, my mom took me to an open house in a music school, and she's like, play an instrument. Nice. You don't have to, but if you want to play one, you can try them out. So it was just something that's always around, right? And then as a teenager, really loved listening to music. But what really got me into audio engineering is when I was, I think, around 17. I was basically a year to finishing high school. And I was driving home on the bike from school and had an iPod in, which shows you how old I am, I guess.
Yeah. I remember it too, so I must be old as well, listening
to music. And then I just remember, I don't know, it's just this weird blackout where I just like closed my eyes, took my hands off the handle and headbanged. And it didn't end that well, but also not too, too bad either. I basically ran against the next side curb, flipped over with my bike against a tree, and I just remember being so upset that something interrupts my experience with the music.
Yeah.
That I was just angry, and then I looked up and realized I could have driven against a car and died. That's just really reckless.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided I have to do music in my life.
Okay.
Because before I wanted to study math or physics.
Yeah.
But then I kind of thought maybe I can combine it, because I don't love being on stage.
Yeah.
I'm always just kind of nervous, how people always are. But for me, I just never really wanted to be on stage and just play. And my violin playing is also not good enough for that.
Okay.
So
I'm sure it is.
looked for other options, and I went to the job center because I still had a year of high school.
Yeah.
And they were like, you would be a perfect audio engineer.
Oh, nice.
And then they helped me, because I guess in Germany, there's two ways to go about it. There's an apprenticeship, which is 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then you go to trade school, or you go to university.
Gotcha.
And they were like, well, with your grades and stuff, it would have made more sense to go to university. Mm-hmm. So I did that twice. And after that, I just came to Canada. But that's really what got me into audio engineering, because I already love technology and all that. But in that moment, I decided I have to do something with music. Because it clearly has way too much power over me.
Totally, yeah.
We've all had that moment where you just get into a song, you just get lost.
Yeah, totally. It sounds like a painful way to get into music, though. Falling off your bike and hitting your head and everything. But
I still don't listen to music driving the car, so don't worry.
Oh, okay.
You're safe.
Great. That's good to know. And so then, so then did you come to Canada to study music, or is that what brought you to Canada?
No, I studied in Germany.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we have free education.
Yeah,
so I kind
of
of
course.
take advantage of that first, So basically after I was done with my second bachelor, I moved to Canada.
Nice. And to Hamilton? Straight to Hamilton?
Yes.
Yeah.
To Hamilton.
Like me, everybody always asks the question, why Hamilton? Why Hamilton?
Well, I had the job at Jukasa lined up.
Oh, of course. Great.
So that was the proximity. I've never been to Canada before.
Yeah.
Also, I just never really thought about it. I don't know how it was with you, but for
same.
me, it was just like, okay, I got a job. I'll go there.
Yeah, totally.
And people were like, but you've never even been to Canada. How do you know if you like it? But I think when you're young, you just don't really
don't think about these
worry
things.
about it.
Yeah, totally.
And I knew that all my previous employers, because I worked during university too, all of them would take me back.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of knowing, well, I have kind of a safety net.
Yeah, that's
if
it,
things
right?
don't work out, but I mean...
Yeah. Yeah, why not? Take it, especially when you're young, like I say, you've got no kind of, it's kind of no ties as such, and you just think, everything's an adventure in your 20s and such, right?
Yes, for sure. And I mean, it still is, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think music keeps you young too.
Yeah.
Like, significantly younger.
Yeah.
If you see older people and they still are doing music, I mean, the Rolling Stones are still playing.
Yeah, I know.
And
they have some...
other people in their age are probably retired, so... It just keeps you young.
Yeah, totally. And I suppose, so you freelance as an engineer. We were just talking before you started. So I imagine you've worked in quite a few studios around town then, in Toronto, and are you mainly out of one?
Them,
yes. Or, yeah?
But mainly I work out of Jukasa
Gotcha.
just because I know the place.
Yeah.
And, it's helpful to just have some kind of a home base for people.
Yeah.
Instead of just always being new and... but yeah, if somebody needs me in Toronto, I can also
I
go
gotcha.
there.
Yeah. And so, all right, well, we mentioned it at the start. I'm dying to know how have these sessions come around where you've been working with legends like, Deep Purple, Alice, Alice Cooper, all these, tell me about those sessions because I'm dying to know. It's pretty cool.
2019, Bob Ezrin reached out to me.
Yeah.
Just sent me an email saying he needs an engineer.
Like it does.
And then we met for coffee, and then I started working with him on some projects.
Yeah.
I started editing first so that he sees how I work, if I'm even good or not, because you can tell a lot by people using Pro Tools.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
And then also just the whole work ethic stuff. But after that, he actually flew me to the Bahamas. That was my last trip before the pandemic.
Yeah.
To work with Ian Gillan. It was just vocals for 3 days, and then I stayed longer to edit for a few more days.
Great.
So after that, we've done a few other projects together. We've done an immersive sound art installation, for example, that I mixed. And then he was just like, hey, just want to record? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it was an easy sell for
I
me.
can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
And that was 2 weeks long.
Yeah.
And was it 2 years ago we recorded? 3? I'm not quite sure. I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like the greatest. I love when those calls come along, and it's just so excited to because I imagine in terms of like big bands as such, I guess I'm quite early really in my audio engineering career as such, but there's probably a pressure when somebody like Alice Cooper's coming in, or like or
so there is, but
you're just doing another day
work.
work.
Pressure that I do my job well rather than the other person being who they are.
Yeah,
because for me, like I don't treat them differently.
Yeah.
I mean.
That's it. They're just
I don't
eyes.
think they want me to fan out. Like I'm working with them, right? So you kind of put yourself not at the same, Yeah, but
place,
you're
just working with them, right? Yeah, you're just working with them.
So you have some mutual respect, but obviously you have to make sure that you do your job well.
Yeah.
Generally, they work with more experienced engineers, so you don't want to be the person that constantly messes up.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's where I put a lot of pressure on myself, but that's just normal, I think.
Yeah, totally. You know, I think if anybody's serious about a career in music or audio engineering, there's those days where it's just, I think people that don't work in the music industry or in engineering, they're always like, they expect it to be a 9 to 5 kind of job, but it's not that kind of thing, right? There's pressure to like you said, there's a pressure to be your best all the time, right? And it's important.
Because you also never know when you have an issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like first day is usually where you have the most problems because something was patched wrong, or maybe the one channel on the console doesn't want to work today. But after that, you can still not completely, snooze, because there will be the odd time where you have a scratchy button, or the mic is, not working for some reason.
Yeah.
Somebody can't hear themselves. So there's always going to be some things where you have to be not on high alert, but you should always be in the session, like know what is where.
Yeah, and how to fix it, right? And kind of like, I always say, I think it's 80% problem solving a lot of the time being an engineer.
Yes. Like I have a weird, short, like medium term memory that's really strong. During the session, I know every single patch.
Yeah.
As soon as the session's over, I don't even know which mics I used.
Yeah.
Like it's this weird thing where like I know every single thing while it happens.
Yeah.
So if anything happens, I'm really quick with finding out what's wrong. But don't ask me what happened like a week later.
Exactly.
I'd have to look on my recall sheet because it's just you
yeah.
move on, and then that capacity in your brain is used up for the next session.
Yeah,
right? So,
exactly. And it's so that's it. And after every session, I'm the worst person to kind of talk to after I've been in the session, because it's so amazing how like it just really stews your brain. It's like at the end of the day, because you're constantly thinking about everything, right? Which is, I always think it's something that's really hard to relate to people. That it's a lot of running around, and like you say, you've got all these different signal flows in your head of where everything is, and it's. And
if any changes happen, then you have to do it in all the sessions. And
yes,
stuff like that. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, oh god, yeah, my brain hurts thinking about it now. So, I suppose going back to, but what's kind of like if you were recording your dream band, what's the kind of music that you listen to yourself, or or produce or engineer yourself? Is there anything in particular that shines? No?
I generally work with any.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's some that I prefer more.
Yeah.
Just because there's more of a setup.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I won't ask.
As much as I like rap.
Yeah.
It's just generally only vocals.
Yes, exactly.
So as an engineer, it's not as stimulating, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the mic doesn't work, you use a different one. Okay, problem solved. So it's just, I don't prefer that as much.
Yeah.
Just because also a lot of rappers have a certain workflow.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Where they just listen to the same beat over and over before they get really, into it.
Yeah.
I like to be personally on my end more productive and not just wait around for it.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something I don't necessarily like doing. I like doing music where I know it's going to be listened to by people. If it's a vanity project, I mean, I still like it and I still give it my all, but it's a little different when you know other people are going to listen. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And it's not just, I just wanted to do this for my friend's birthday, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. They come with a tough sessions sometimes, right? Yeah. When
because there's less purpose, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's kind of,
The other songs, that they're going to reach people. They're going to, they could even save people's lives.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally.
So it's important to do a good job there.
It's funny you say that about saving people's lives, because I think sometimes that's, when you're working with real artists and such. We've just had an event here at the studio over the weekend, and it was the guy Brad Sundberg, who was an engineer who engineered with Michael Jackson for Bad, Dangerous and History. And he tells a story in his thing in his talk all about, somebody heard Michael's song on it, and it literally did save a life. She was in, I think Greece or Ukraine somewhere, and I'll not go into the story, but it's amazing how these artists really do touch people, and to be a part of that is a really special thing, right?
Oh yeah.
And when an artist putting the whole into an album, and I imagine it's, I'd love to know more about Jukasa. I've not been, but a studio is a special place, right, when you get artists in there. So how's Jukasa to work out of? Because it looks like the ultimate facility. It has everything, right? It has everything.
Almost everything.
Everything. Yeah.
No, like it's great because it's far away.
Yeah.
So the artist can't really get distracted. Right?
Yeah.
So that's first and foremost.
Yeah.
You get out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like that. And we also have apartments, so they can actually camp out there.
Yeah.
Which is great if you have like a week or something, because then artists don't have to go back to their families, their problems, having to do their own, you know what I mean? Like random tasks that really take them away from their creative mind. So it's really great that they can come out there. Then we have an 8K, which is really just a 4K.
Yeah.
We have a live tracking floor and 4 isolation booths. One of them has a grand piano in there.
Oh, wowzers, man. Yeah, it's so much fun to be had in a big studio like that. It's like anything's possible, right?
It is. But it also means you have to really be on top of things, right?
Yeah, totally. Lots of signal going everywhere, I imagine. And it's where, totally.
For sure.
Yeah. What's your favorite pieces of gear in there? What's your go-to, like, you know, this is where we're going to nerd out a little bit. So if anybody's not an engineer or into music, I do apologize. But what's favorite like vocal chains and stuff like that? I'm dying to know.
I love the U67. It's a newer one. It's one of those redone ones.
Yeah.
I love that into an Eve. Ideally 1073. I don't know why, but I like it better than the 1084s.
Yeah.
And then into an 1176 Blue Stripe.
Love it. Love it.
It's just, for me, I call it lazy engineering.
Yeah, totally.
Because I know I have to do less EQing that way.
Yes.
Things just sound automatically better, so I don't have to really fix things.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was watching a video with about Bruce Swedien, and that's exactly how he said most of his engineering is just right mic choice gets you nearly all the way there without EQ, right? And you know, you can't go wrong with an 1176. Why change something that works, right? After all,
I know. I mean, there's the odd person where something else might work better.
Yes.
Obviously, vocals are hard to just generalize because they are so varying. Like, you can have somebody with a really low voice or somebody really high pitched, and it will change it a bit. But ideally, I would say for 95% of the people, it works. So.
Yeah. I gotcha.
It's quicker, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's always my go-to. Near enough the same chain, to be fair. Yeah, nearly most of the time, to be fair. So in terms of you know, you do your audio engineering. Do you do much in terms of like producing or like helping with releasing other people's music, or is it just mainly engineering that you do?
I don't mainly help them release stuff.
I got you.
But I do produce as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Not as much as engineering yet, but I'm getting into it because I've done so much vocal producing. I kind of get to the point where I'm like, okay, if I'm not producing, I'm literally just pressing the button.
Yeah,
because
totally.
Otherwise, you know, it's just kind of not fair because I do put a lot of effort into producing. So it's a lot of engineering, editing, mastering. I do mix occasionally too, but not as often. Yeah. To be fair, yeah.
Yeah, because I think vocal production, especially, it's such a lost art in a way. Because I think it's one of the ways where, man, a song from just having a lead vocal, great. But I think building those tracks and also getting, you know, the right inflections here and stuff like that really helps, right? You know, it's really helps.
It is the song.
And it's a minefield as well. There's so much that goes into it that people just... I think a lot of people from the outside think, oh, somebody goes into the studio, they sing a take, and then that's it, right? You know?
There's so much work to it.
Yeah.
Plus just getting people into the right mind space.
Yeah.
Because really, I mean, you can sing it a million times. It doesn't mean you did it well.
Yeah.
Because you have to know how much can I now say and tell them to do better, or do I have to just let that person do it a few more times to warm up, and then maybe we can address what's really a problem.
Yeah.
Because you can't. So it's not like a guitar where you can just get as million takes as you want out of it. Like with vocal, there is some kind of shelf life for the day.
Yeah.
And you have to get it all done.
Yeah.
Or you have to come back. But if you come back, it might be that the vocal
totally
sits differently in that day.
Totally.
So there's just a lot of different variables. And I think a lot of singers don't necessarily know their voice as much.
Yes. Yeah, that is so true. Is there what's the usual tips in getting a singer to get to where they need to be on the day to get the takes?
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
And what they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Like if, for example, somebody has their hands in their pockets and they're like kind of shoulders together, it's like you can't sing like that. Like, you have to loosen up, relax,
100%.
move with the music.
Yeah. And it's amazing how many singers don't realize that this is affecting that singing, because I imagine, there's also a lot of singers that are not so used to recording as well, and it's totally different to somebody doing a live show and playing and blah 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 blah, and then they come in the studio and they're like, all right, I didn't realize I was so.
Well, the biggest problem is they hear themselves for the first time.
Yes, yeah.
If you sing live, I mean, you might hear yourself for pitch
enough,
but you don't hear the real
tone
details,
of your voice and stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Like hearing pitch and hearing details in your voice is very different.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times people are like, oh my God, you hear my stomach growl.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Yeah,
it's
I
so
hear everything
sensitive.
you do.
Yeah, it's so sensitive, right? And and I think also it's even when people, it always surprises me is when people put headphones on, it's like something they're so not used to, which blows my mind. I'm like, and sometimes I forget that some people are so used to just using monitors in old style. It changes the way you sing so much when you've got your headphones on, right? Yeah. So it always comes up every single episode that I do, Jill, because I like to get people's general sense of I guess Hamilton's music scene or the surrounding music scenes, what's going on in the industry and stuff, and especially I kind of again, I love when I get to talk to engineers because I get to get a bit techie, like I said. I love to get people's opinions. We'll get into maybe Hamilton's music scene and Southern Ontario's music scene. But what's your thoughts on, for instance, stuff like AI going forward? Because I think every engineer sat there and thought, well, this is probably going to mix the whole song for me in a few years' time, and
you're not a good mixer.
Exactly right. Exactly. I'm so glad you said that.
It's the same with mastering.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I feel like nobody that's really professional is gonna skimp on mastering costs.
Yeah. Totally.
Like first of all, mastering is not even the most expensive part of the whole recording. The whole production part. Yeah. And then somebody paying $39 versus $150 or whatever. I don't think a lot of professional people will go there. Yeah. If anything, a lot of mastering engineers will not have to master demos. Yeah. And, the odd thing that is just amateurs wanting to stay amateurs.
Yeah, right.
I don't really,
Yeah, totally.
It's not that great. And I mean, it can't be, because even if it knew what it's supposed to sound like, it is a song-by-song basis. Yes, yeah. And because every mix you get is differently, I don't see AI doing a big thing. But for mixing, even worse. I don't see AI ever doing a better job than a good mixing engineer. Yeah. Now, mind you, if you're starting out and you suck, maybe AI is better at that point. Yeah. But then you can also use AI to get better. Yes. Right? Yeah. Maybe ask AI, here's 2 mixes. Why does mine not sound as good? Yeah. Okay. Right? Maybe AI can help you with that and tell you, hey, maybe if you do a low cut on this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Yeah. So people should be just a little bit more appreciative. Yes. Because we can't stop it anyways. Yeah, it's coming. Because we don't like it. It's like the people wanting to stay tape and then Pro Tools comes. Like, I mean, it works for 0.01% of the engineers who still work on tape. And hey, I love tape and all that. I do understand that it's a lot more work and it's a lot more studio time that has to be paid. Yes. And a lot of bands don't have the budget. Yeah. So I get why people switch to Pro Tools. Right? And that's why. 100%. I mean, I hear stories from engineers that have, they worked in the heyday of tape and stuff. And I think, I would say, to be honest, 9 times out of 10 of them, as much as they love tape, it's the ability for even recalling things and, just being able to cut things here and go back, the convenience of it. For, the other thing is, I don't know if it's true, but I feel like there's just a lot more musicians actually recording music than there used to be back in the day. Yes. And for tape, you have to actually be a good musician. Yeah. I'm sorry. The thing, right? It's true. It's true. If you're not able to stay in the pocket and play well, then you'll need a lot more time. Yeah. Yeah. And that will be a lot of editing and all of that. So no, it's Pro Tools helps people sound better. Yeah, 100%. It helps. Unless you're already amazing. Like if you're somebody that can play one take and it's like, That's it.
That's it, yeah.
Then maybe go to tape if you want to.
Yeah.
But it's a choice still, right?
It totally is. Yeah, it totally is. It's and I think, sadly, as much as it's great that it gets more accessible for, people to be able to buy an interface, record themselves, it's great that somebody can now experience that. But exactly like you say, it's always an awkward conversation with the wrong person sometimes. That if you're not, exactly like you say, it's also allowed so much shit to come into like the industry, not to sound like snobbish but
no, but like I think why I can't be snobbish about it is because I know every good musician used to not
start
be good.
Somewhere, 100%,
right?
And I agree. I agree with that.
Maybe it's good to have them start in the studio earlier than later, so they can get used to the process, and then once they are where they should be, it's not as much focusing on the whole recording process because it's already known. So it's kind of hard because obviously if people are starting out, what do you expect?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And that's fine. And I mean, those people that just want to do it for fun.
Yeah. Go for it.
Go for it. I mean, if it makes you happy, why am I the one?
Yeah,
I don't have to be a Debbie Downer, right?
Yeah, exactly, right.
It's not like I would imagine that person winning a Grammy.
Yes. Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe not. But then again, it could be.
I was going to say, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. I've heard stories of people, especially looking at stuff like, you're just talking about rappers in hip hop, somebody only has to have made a trap beat or something to be getting a mention somewhere or in the right room or something. It's pretty wild. But exactly like it is, like you said, that's why I kind of went with that accessibility thing. It is great that people can kind of get into it so easily, I guess, by just buying an interface. But it kind of for anybody trying to be real engineers, I'll call us two real engineers.
Even musicians, like
yeah.
If you are not a very techie person, just don't.
Yeah.
Like you're not doing yourself a favor because if you're recording yourself, like you're worrying about your input gain and how it sounds more than your performance. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it worth it? Probably not.
Probably not. Just spend instead of buying the interface, hire somebody.
Do it for demo, right? Like, so you can be prepared, so you can practice to a click.
Yeah.
Do it as a demo. But for a final product, like, your performance is gonna suffer.
Yeah.
Like, imagine looking at, like, Pro Tools, making sure everything comes in, there's no problem. And then even, like, hearing yourself back, which you would have to do with headphones at that point.
Yeah.
It's not the best way to hear back music.
Yeah.
And then just like, I have to perform now. But did I press? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, no, don't.
Yeah, I used to find that with playing in bands, and I was always the guy doing the sound, our sound and stuff. And it used to just totally ruin performing for me because you're always thinking, oh my God, why is that guitar not coming up? Why is the bass suddenly not coming? And you just like, all of a sudden you start making mistakes. And, and especially, and it goes back to what we're saying, even with big artists.
Yeah.
Coming into the studio, I noticed that you'd work with the Trews. Well, we've done a lot with the Trews down here and stuff. And I remember when they were in the studio a few months ago, that they all said it's great that everybody has their own kind of assignment for the project. So the band can be the band, the artist, the producers can be the producer, the engineer can be the engineer, and it's so overlooked of everybody trying to skimp and say
that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you try to do everything yourself, let me tell you, you're not gonna be that good.
Yeah.
No, it's
true.
It's great for demoing.
Yeah.
Right? And it's great to also maybe, if you have your own interface, maybe you can communicate with the audio engineer better.
Yeah.
Because you know some of the lingo.
Yes. Yeah.
But for the real process, like just don't.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference to trust somebody. And like I've had people literally say like, but like you don't do anything during the recording. And I'm like, because I'm so good. I'm so good setting everything up.
You heard it here, guys.
I don't have to do anything. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Like,
totally.
But I'm still aware of everything.
Yeah.
And if something is broke, I want to get it within that take.
Yeah.
I don't want to have 10 takes like, oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that button cut out. Like, no.
And I think that could be the frustration sometimes, is where like sometimes artists are in so much a rush to get going. It's like I would say one of the biggest things when recording bands here at the studio, I would say that sometimes people underestimate how much goes into recording a drum kit, for example. You know, it's like they think they just put the drums down, we put the mics on, it's good. But you know, it's like, you know, if you're taking an hour just to make sure that mic placement's good, everything's not out of phase and blah 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 blah. You know, it's just so misunderstood. You know, and I'm sorry that the bass player's waiting to just play it, you know, play his DI and have done with it, sort of thing, you know. But there's it's such but
even then you have somebody making sure that what you're playing even works.
Yes.
I mean, if you have a producer, obviously that's his job or your job. But if you don't have a producer, usually your engineer will tell you, hey, you're out of tune.
Yeah, right.
Because I love how bass and guitar players just don't even ever think about it.
It's wild. It's wild.
I know.
This is like therapy for an audio engineer. I love it, Jill. It's great. It's great. So we are in this. The podcast is called Tones of the Hammer, of course.
Yes,
so are you based in Hamilton yourself, or do you just work in the Hamilton area?
I work in the Hamilton. So I lived in Hamilton, but
Gotcha.
I moved out of Hamilton about a few years ago.
Nice. Do you get out to much gigs and stuff in Southern Ontario area or anything?
Sometimes. It's
I
hard because
I get you.
work.
Yes.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's a long hours. Yeah, I feel the same. And the last thing...
And it's just unpredictable. Like if somebody is in for a drum session or whatever, you don't necessarily know if the time that they booked until is the time you're done.
Yes. Oh, gosh, yes.
So things sometimes go longer or you hang out after or, you know, it's kind of hard that way.
Yeah.
And
I feel you.
Yeah. But I'm lucky enough that like, if I know bands I've worked with are playing, then I usually go see them.
Yeah, 100%. And the biggest thing I always find is that if you've been listening to music all day, sometimes you just want to sit in one of those rooms that's just totally padded with no sound, right? It's like...
all the time.
Yeah, all the time, in which it's so easy for ears to get fatigued, right? You know, so yeah, I can relate to that. I wish I could try to get out as much as I can to see local bands play if someone's in town, but my head just hurts after like 8 hours of listening to that snare drum, you know, or whatever it is.
I mean, I do wear earplugs, so
it's
fine, but still, it is taxing.
Yes, 100%. It really drains me, 100%. So I asked you earlier, like, you know, what you kind of grew up listening to. Is there any bands or anything that you're loving at the minute, kind of thing? I'd love to know, because I always love to get a grasp of like an audio engineer's kind of, I guess, tonal taste, sonic taste, or, you know, what's kind of the roads that you go down? You think,
fortunately, I barely listen to music right now.
Oh, okay. So
which is sad, but it's just, once again, I come home and I'm just like, I can't listen to anything.
So you're shaping your own sound then at the minute. You're kind of like, you know.
I mean, I listen to the bands too.
I got you.
A lot of times they have a lot of ideas of where it should go. Yeah. And then a lot of people like play something here and there of what they're trying to do. Yeah. So that helps a lot, for sure. And I mean, I as much as I like listening to music, I haven't really discovered anything lately because
just working so much.
Yeah, it's just, usually I need about 3 days off until I start listening to music.
I got you. Well, you are such a busy person. If you follow Jill on Instagram, we'll put all Jill's links there. She's everywhere. You were just at NAMM recently, right? Yes. How was that? What was going off at NAMM? Because I was so jealous looking.
I know. Yeah. I went the first time last year.
Right, okay.
So I had to go back.
Yes, of course.
It's just crazy. It's so many people. Yeah. But
were you just there to hang out sort of thing, or?
Yes. Yeah? I mean, yes and no. Yeah, I was also trying to see what's new.
Of course.
Right? Of course. And I love how it's not just always the same stuff. Yeah. If you talk to a lot of audio engineers, it's always the same mics they use, always doing the same thing. Yeah. But there is a lot of innovation that all these manufacturers are trying to do. Yeah. And they're also actually getting there. And so I went to check that out.
In a way, there's never been a better time to get into making music, right? Because the things, you know, God, even something as stupid as like even mic modeling or the, you know, things are just getting so crazily good, you know. And I think it was going back to what we were talking about, like with tape machines and stuff, is I think, you know, things are getting like 80-90% of the time for the time that you put into running a tape machine, you know. Certain equipment or stuff, it's so close to like, you know, how it was, right? And it's so crazy. Anything.
It's not.
Do you not think?
No.
Oh, come
No,
on, man.
I'm sorry.
Come on,
As
man.
much as I like working digital,
Yeah.
there is something to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the same with outboard gear.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying that digital like plugins suck. I use them all the time.
Yeah, fair.
But
I
they
agree with
still don't
tracking
sound-
for sure. Hardware
they
and
still
stuff for
don't
tracking.
sound the same.
Yeah.
Like we have a Manly Massive Passive
Yeah.
at the studio.
Yeah.
And it broke down. We
Uh-huh.
had to send it in to get I think it was the power unit redone.
Yeah.
So, but we had a mix to recall.
Yeah. Oh god.
So we bought every plugin that emulates it.
Right. Nothing there. No.
Nothing came close.
Okay.
And I'm not
interesting.
saying they sound like shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying they don't sound
There's a
the same.
difference.
They don't act the same.
Yeah.
They don't react the
Yeah.
same.
Well, I think when it's, especially when it's tracking, so, you know, you're using your circuitry and stuff when you're tracking. I think there is, exactly like you said, there's no way that a plugin responds the same as like a hardware compressor and stuff, right? You know?
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
Like when I go into a Neve preamp,
Yeah.
I sometimes just juice the
Yeah,
input
totally.
and take the output down.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a compressor.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more saturated.
Yeah.
And it works for certain elements.
Yeah.
Right? You can't do that in a plugin. It's
Yeah.
clipping.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
And it's not just that. It's just they have their own place.
Yeah.
Like I love using plugins. Great. But you can't say one-to-one they're the same.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
totally.
even like that they have the same GUI because it
Yeah.
makes people that haven't used the unit
Yeah.
believe that it is the
Yeah,
same.
there is that. Yeah, there is
But at the
that.
same time, too, vintage gear, too, they don't even are the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the other problem where it's
Yeah.
like, well, what did you emulate? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
this person's gear or this person's gear?
Yeah.
Because it aged differently.
Everything's
It
so
has been-
different, right? Yeah. And this, you know, even like, you know, U87 Neumann's, everyone's different in some way. Every Neve is different in some way,
Yeah.
right? You know, so it's so true.
So it's great to see that, like, a lot of, you know, newer mics come out. They are very consistent.
Yeah.
So you
yeah.
can depend on them.
That's it, right? Because, and I think that's probably, I would say that's probably the difference is the fact of just the reliability, because, you know, you get that one part on a, you know, you're using analog consoles, the SSL, like you say, a scratchy port, and it all of a sudden you've been using it 3 days, and then all of a sudden it just starts, one of the capacitors is going or something, and it just starts crackling, right? It's a nightmare. But
Life.
yeah, interesting. So that's interesting. Okay. And does anything stand out at NAMM? Any favorite products coming up? Anything we need to know about that we should be buying, investing in?
Plugins?
Just anything that you saw.
So at NAMM, so I used to have a little demonstration with Austrian Audio in Hamburg when I was there for a masterclass, and they invited me to like just come back and see them, and they have a new mic out, and I'm really intrigued.
Oh, okay.
Because so what it basically is a lot of people who used to work at AKG in Austria,
Yep.
and AKG left.
Yeah.
They left and made their own company.
Right, I see. Okay.
And I just love that they are a lot more free with their innovation.
Yeah.
Like they don't have this pressure of we have to do something that sells X amounts in this much time. Right?
Yeah.
Like they're like, we want to do something that is new, that is better, and has longevity.
Yeah.
And they have also something for about every price range. So like that. So it's not like you're kind of priced out by certain things. Like there's certain mic manufacturers where like either it sounds really bad or you have to have a lot of money.
I know, it's so insane.
That's just not very fair, right?
Yeah.
And then what was it? AEA has a new compressor which I really liked.
Okay.
Which I'm looking into. It's a stereo compressor and it's really small, but it's so clean.
Yeah.
Which is hard to find when you really juice it.
Yeah.
But for mastering and stuff, I was just like, wow, like I can go way too hard.
Nice.
And it still sounds good.
Yeah.
So that's hard to do because usually compressors start changing the frequency response.
Yeah,
and stuff.
100%. Yeah.
So you have to watch what you do, how much.
Yeah, and especially if you're doing a lot of mastering, that's so important, right? To be able to have that kind of, that flexibility with that sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? With that sort of control,
Yeah. You don't want to color it too much. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes people are so obsessed with getting that coloration, but especially, you know, the way that a lot of people listen to the music music and stuff. And I think especially with mastering, you know, everything, if something's going out in Spotify or Apple Music, right, it's I think modern mastering and clean mastering is so important these days rather than...
And not doing too much.
Yeah.
Because honestly, they will normalize it down anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why would you go to, you know, 6 loves?
Yeah.
If they put it down to minus 14.
Yeah, and that's so true. I think especially like old rockers are so obsessed with having loud mastering or whatever. And that's what I tell them at the same time, I said, you can do that, but it's just going to get squashed to hell, right?
Yeah.
You know? Spotify turns it down to its minus 13, 14 or whatever.
And then you're not louder than the next person anyways.
Yeah, and it's just...
Like, if you really want to be loud,
Yeah.
have less elements in your song.
Yes, exactly.
Because if you only have an acoustic guitar and a vocal, you can make those with the same, you know, loudness unit, make it sound way louder.
Yeah.
I wouldn't if it was on a record. But,
Yeah, totally.
You know.
Totally. So listen out, you old rockers, man. Listen out, you know. So, Jill, what's the plans then? Thank you so much for coming down, by the way. I really appreciate everybody that comes down this, especially somebody as busy as yourself, you know. You only have to look at Jill's Instagram, which we will give you, and it'll all be somewhere around in the YouTube metaverse and stuff. But yeah, what's the plans for Jill Zimmermann coming up? Any goals we've got in mind over the next few years? You know, we're trying to do more, less, whatever, you know?
I'll see what happens.
Okay, I like that.
The problem with planning is that if something doesn't happen, you get disappointed.
Yeah. You feel like you've,
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, I see that things are getting busy and better, so I'm just
riding the wave.
Yeah. You know, I should probably post more on Instagram, to be honest, because I haven't even kept up with it, but I do notice a difference when you do.
Yes, socials is just so important these days, and we all hate it. You know, we all hate it. It's finding the consistency, the creativity, and then exactly like you say, you feel like if you post something that doesn't work, you just think, oh my god, it's failing. I thought.
Plus, I just do it once, and then people are like, no, you should post like 3 times about it.
Yeah.
But why? People already know. Like,
yeah, exactly. And when you're engineering as well, where do you find time to make a video, right, or anything like that?
Also. Kind of have to wait until the band posts about it.
Yes.
Like the amount of times you're like, did I work on that?
Yeah, exactly.
They just released it. Like, wait, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then they changed all the song titles, and you're like, let me just listen to what we worked on. If that matches up. It's sometimes really hard to know if you even worked on something. Nowadays.
Yeah, totally. It's always wild as well. Like, even for your portfolio, to be able to show people what you've done publicly.
Yeah.
It's exactly like you say, you know, there's so many tracks and albums that are in the works that it just takes, like, there's like a 2-year, like you say, a 2-year buffer of release to show people.
And then people change the names of all the songs.
Yeah.
Just like, well, I don't know. We called it something that clearly wasn't the, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Only working title, but
and now everything's changed, and you know, just claim it. Just claim the credit, Jill. You know, that's
I'm not like
yeah. You know, you just, you know, the worst thing they can do is say no, right? You just take it off or whatever, you know. So, but I imagine with big bands, you know, it's big lawsuits or stuff with stuff like that. I imagine, or something crazy, you know.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm not sure if they would spend money to do that. They should just probably
discredit you.
Discredit you,
yeah, just discredit.
Take you off.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, Jill, thank you so much for coming down.
Yeah, again, you're welcome.
Really do appreciate it. We've been talking about your Instagram, right? What's your Instagram again? Your Instagram handle, as you say? Is it just Instagram?
Stupidest handle ever.
It's
Audiotic Jill.
Audio.
It's like idiotic, but with audio.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, I should have changed it, but then everything was already gone.
Yeah.
And there's so many Jill Zimmermans out there, it just doesn't make sense.
It's a popular name, obviously, you know.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense because Zimmerman is very German.
Yeah.
Jill is very not German. So.
Yeah. That's Bob Dylan's real name, is Zimmerman, right?
Yeah, but he spelled it wrong.
Oh, did he? Okay.
I think it's not him. It's his family when they immigrated.
I got you. Okay.
The immigration people just dropped the last N.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Which is why a lot of people spell my name wrong.
Ah, I
and
see.
It's always just so sad when you're like, oh my God. And you look at the credits like...
Yeah, I know. Oh, damn it, man.
All the time.
Yes, you heard it here first. I will make sure that is spelt right. You can probably see it now, and it's spelt...
I hope so.
It will be, trust me. I'll not forget that now, because as I'm editing this, I'll be like...
Think about it this way, okay?
Yeah,
It's like the letters L, M, N in the alphabet.
Yeah.
It's always double.
Yeah,
double
it is.
L, double
it is
M,
true.
double N.
Yeah, it is true. Luckily, I think the Brit in me will kind of recognise the European spelling of it, rather than the Americanization of it, So
yeah, it's just even because it's Mann, right?
Yeah.
It's Zimmermann, but if I say that, nobody knows.
Yeah.
The amount of people are like, can you spell that? And it's Zimmermann with 2 N. Okay.
That's so true. I'm so sorry, Jill. I'm so sorry this happens all the time. I know, it happens all the time though, right?
All the time.
All the time.
I mean, it's getting to the point where like you tell people. Like I remember with the first 3 Days Grace record I worked on, I told Neil, I'm like, it's 2 N, please make sure. And he was joking. He's like, I'll do 3 N on it.
Yeah.
And then when the album came out, I gave him shit. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And he looked in his emails and he's like, no, I made sure in my email it's right. And I guess it was like the graphic designer that just dropped it.
Yeah.
So I can't be mad at him because obviously he did
tried
everything
all he could,
everything right. But then it's the graphic designer that's like, can't even copy and paste.
Yeah, can't copy and paste, man. Can't copy and paste. Well, anybody that does work with Jill, make sure you spell her name right. That's very important, of course.
Yes.
Thanks to everybody for listening or watching this wherever you are. Don't forget to follow Jill, follow Tones of the Hammer on everything, and we will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.
Bye.